Huh? There you go. Gotta make them shrink a little. You don't quite get Bob in there. I know.
I know that's a fine line there, but it does fit in the spot. Unfortunately, it's over there. Oh, you know, so-
I don't feel. That's all right.
We're live on the camera.
He just wants to get rid of
Yeah. I'll get
I didn't sign it.
Hello, Mr. John.
How are you? Good.
You got over. Thank you.
Could you please silence your phones? We're gonna start this show in about 1 minute.
I will get up and start singing if that's what you think.
The time is now 6:30 PM on February 21st, 2024, and we are here at the Pine Ridge Clubhouse located at 4801 Lakeside Club Boulevard for our February Board of Directors meeting. Before we begin with the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, I would like to take a moment to honor the memory of a couple longtime residents that recently passed away. Some of you may know those, Bob Lotter and Bob Weber. I know a few of you know them. I wasn't fortunate enough to know them, but I'm sure he and Bob said they were great guys. Moment of silence, please. And I'm sure they'll be in our thoughts and prayers. Could we please stand and recite the pledge of allegiance? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Michelle, would you please call roll?
Bob Coles,
Here.
Tom Torino,
Here.
Bob Geisler,
Here.
Bill England,
Here.
John Mao,
Here.
Andy Levine.
Here.
I'm sorry, Levin, and me, Michelle. All present.
Eric, was the meeting properly noted?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, when I first heard about Andy, Michelle, I thought we were gonna get Maroon 5 tickets too. It's close. No cigar. Eric, did we have anybody sign up tonight to speak at the open forum?
Looks like we did. First one is Skip Mufon.
Skip, would you please come up, let us know who you really are?
No, I can't. Combination of it.
This thing working?
I did some coyote checking for you people, and we do have them. There's 3 adults I came across, 2 smaller ones. They basically look like they moved from the frickies down past the dog park and back. They use the wall as a highway, cutting through everything. The problem is we got people feeding cats. Now, feral cats, if they get processed food, it makes them very lethargic according to the vets. So it's making them easy dinner. Making an easy dinner, the coyotes are gonna come this way. So it's up to you people. You wanna feed cats, that's your business, but you're making dinner for the coyotes.
Yeah, dog or cat.
That's why we don't feed wild animals.
Once you start to teach an animal like a coyote or a wolf or an alligator to associate people with food, that's when you start to encounter the problems. As long as they don't associate people with food, they kind of do their thing and you do your thing. But feeding them, that's like laying the trap.
I came across some funky snakes too.
Who else did we have sign up?
Now these yes.
That's it. Okay. Maybe a little quick. Okay, do I have a motion to either read or waive the reading of our previous month's meeting?
I'll make a motion.
Go ahead.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. And I've had a busy few days. We've been very active as board.
Yeah, you might be.
Out of order.
Like I said, we've had some very busy days last couple of weeks, but I do want to take a moment to thank the volunteers that I've seen out here, like Dwayne, Norm, and his lovely wife. And yes, Bob was out there orchestrating a lot of that. They got some plants in the ground. Our butterfly crew, which I don't see Michelle, I don't see Nick. Those 2 were out there. I noticed them, and there were a couple other people that I'm not mentioning because I kind of saw it at the end of the cleanup. They did an amazing job pulling out those weeds and making our butterfly garden continue looking as beautiful as we all want it to. We didn't want a weed patch. John, Andy, I think Bill, we were at the sheriff's presentation on, maybe somewhere around the 6th or something. Yeah, and that was a very good presentation. We didn't know what we were gonna get when we walked in there. But some could say it was a political campaign, or a patting on the back of the sheriff. But hey, to let us know what was going on in our county and how law enforcement's working. So I was very proud to know that our crime stats are very low in this community. I was surprised to hear that the Lee County schools are among the safest in the nation, and how other counties were coming here to find out what they were doing as far as school safety. We also went to the BY's board certification on Valentine's Day, which I'm sure a lot of you others were enjoying Valentine's Day or planning stuff out in the community.
Oh, yeah, the sheriff also staged a bank robbery for us, so.
Yes, they had a bank robbery down the street, and we all learned what happens there.
You gotta be careful what I say. The night before, I read the agenda, I go, man, 11 o'clock tomorrow would be a good time if you were gonna do it. Bad.
So I was at our lovely recycling center the other day. You know, somebody had flung a bag of recycling on the top of it. I guess they thought it was an open container. You know, got that down and, you know, started putting some stuff in there. Then they, one of our more senior female residents came up with her boxes, and she opens it. She said, "Why don't these people break down the boxes? What's the matter with them?" Yeah, I hear you. We've been saying that all the time. Should you break down the boxes or not? Yes, in fact, breaking down boxes can help the community that you live in and the entire city. They do have to sort that mess out. So it's not that hard to break down your boxes, and I might have to, you know, let a few people know how to break down boxes. I don't mind if you got a box that you need to break down over at the Frickers. I'd be glad to come over and break that down for you. But some of the other people put the boxes unbroken. Amazon boxes, got their label on it, lets us know what they bought and everything. All we're asking is, please break those boxes down. When you stick them in there and they're not broken down, that thing's filling up in 2-3 days. And I know a lot of you noticed that, because this community is very good about recycling.
I guarantee everybody who has it, for those who have it, who don't break their boxes down or don't, I'm sure you've gone to the recycling. It's been pretty frustrating when it's full and jam-packed and you can't get your own boxes in. So just do the right thing, break the boxes down, and that way we can recycle as much as we can, because we want to do help the environment.
A caution alert this morning, there were several piles of what's been described as dog poop on the entrance here by the car wash. Fortunately, nobody tripped over it. Please clean up after your dog. Most likely, renters come in here,
Gonna be the coyotes?
visitors, coyotes travel the wall,
Okay.
not the open area. And this crime was committed between 8 o'clock and 8:45. I made that up.
It's not the type of compost the landscape committee requested.
So just trying to keep it friendly and
There's also.
take care of your dog. Yeah, we have a lot of critters out there. We have wild cats. We have fast wild cats because they haven't been caught by a coyote yet. But our little pets aren't so fast. when I go behind the dumpster here and see a pile of trash that somebody got to recycling and realized they had trash, so they, just toss it down. You might go to the trash container and it's full, and then it's just dropped on the ground there. And that's where the animals come in at night. And it's anything from rats to coyotes. So please, don't do that to this community. Based on some other comments, I'd like everybody to know that we have a car wash for washing car. And I say this because I've been notified that some people are washing their car in their villas. So condo people, fade out right here, which tells me that we do have some residents that actually read the rules. So that's a good part about it. The reason for this rule is that we have a lot of people walking out there, maybe with little dogs, that they really don't want to walk through the water that's in the road, but maybe more so the possible chemical runoff into the lovely grounds that we have here. So having said that, being a car guy, I know that there may be some situations where villa owners may want to detail their car, clean the interior or something like that. I understand that. We just don't want to make it a regular habit. I want to also assure you that the car wash over here, contrary to other rumors or beliefs, it is not lake water. I would not expect anybody to wash their vehicle with that stuff. So it is fresh water, and it is also filled to the entire community, and that's why Michelle has made comments about conserving water. We get one big bill. It certainly is not the biggest expense of this community. We all know that insurance remains the biggest expense and probably will until something magical happens in Florida government.
But that is something to keep in mind for those who do wash the cars in their driveways, that we do have a car washing area that's common use. And like we talked about, how it's 4 different associations, kind of 4 different budgets that make up the one association that we're all a part of. That water meter, a portion of that is charged to the whole community as an amenity for car wash. So by washing your car over there, instead of in your driveway, you are helping yourself. It might only be $1 or whatever it is, but you are helping yourself with the dues, because wherever you live, that's getting charged to the section that you live in, whereas this is being split amongst the 4 associations that we have. So it's financially beneficial for you guys to follow the rules in that regard.
I've had quite a few people out here giving me pricing, and I'm still waiting for pricing on window replacement. There are approximately 15 to 16 variations of windows. We got villas, we got condos. Condos, there's about 10 variations, and there's say 5 or 6 variations between the early era villas and the more recent ones. So done a lot of measuring before these companies have come out. A couple of them I went and researched the type of windows. I wasn't calling salespeople out here so I could get a song and dance out of them. I want to get a good price, so I'm not wasting their time with that portion of it. If they got to come in here with the right price, and then we will have those vendors one at a time come into the clubhouse and give their sales presentation, where if you as an individual owner want to sign up with that company for window replacement, then you may. The type of windows that so far that I'm looking at are an Element brand, which come in vinyl and aluminum, New South windows, PGT, Acorn, and Plygem, I think, is the other brand. So I want you to know that, getting pretty close to having that, and I may have that ready to start putting some stuff up on the board. Maybe a sign-up sheet for those of you that are interested in this. I thought I had some early numbers in front of me, but let me give you one example. An individual here had their condo priced for window replacement by Anderson. We're talking 4 48-inch wide windows, the sliding glass wall, and it's a little fuzzy by reading their quote whether or not it included the front door. I'm going to say it included the front door based on the price. So you're all sitting down, it was $48,000. You're insane. But the good news is the salesperson liked them so much, he knocked $13,000 off the top. And to me, that's just a sales scam when they start throwing numbers around like that. And that's the type of thing that my hopes is that you would avoid by me bringing in some vendors and getting what I'm gonna call a uniform price, because the same salesperson is gonna give you a different price and you a different price based on how well you negotiate and whatever other factors might be in their head at the time.
Yeah, they're trained to listen to the things that you say, and certain trigger words. They look at, I mean, they're coming into your house, so they can see what you got, they know. So, that's what we always tell people, get bids, price things out really well. If you need a reference, we'll try to help you because they'll take advantage of it. So $48,000, that's pretty nice vehicle or something like that.
The villa and condo sales, I think Eric has a little bit more of maybe some numbers of how many hits and that type of thing we've had on it, but I had an individual, it's actually a couple, and his brother was with them. They have been looking for a condo for over a month in this surrounding area as far as Lehigh Acres. They said that the condo was beautiful and they loved the villa. They're from Canada. They wanted to know if we had any Canadians here, which they ran into a few of them at the swimming pool. I gave them the full-blown tour of this place because they've been to a lot of communities and they're really trying to be selective and find some place that they could buy with only having to be able to come here for 180 days. We traveled the whole grounds. Their comment was they have not seen a complex in their price range that was this well cared for and this uniform and beautiful. So that was very nice to hear from an individual and his wife that have already looked at a lot of places in the surrounding area. Their comment about Lehigh Acres, Ann would have loved it. They said that they went into condos and so people were doing whatever they wanted to do. It's junk cars in the driveway, broken windows and so on and so forth. So that was someone's opinion. It was nice to hear something like that about our community. And I think it's the people in this community that really sell the community and make it a home.
Yeah, that's a common thing that we hear is people that are looking at this price range. We're touching the higher end of the price range now, but people looking at this price range, there's a reason why we're touching the higher end is because they go around and there's nothing that can really compete with us in that $200,000 range.
Did they buy?
They're thinking about making an offer. They're checking some financial.
They're looking at the exchange rate, blah, blah, blah. So we'll see what happens. I want to kind of end with, we've said this quite a few times, but why is it bad to talk about politics and religion or get in those discussions? And people become very emotional and passionate about their beliefs and take it personally when someone disagrees. With today's increased polarization between the two main political parties, unfortunately, attitudes toward those beliefs differ and can be quite harsh. And you all watch the news, I watch the news. For the most part, those news stations try to play to your emotions, and they do a very good job of it. I've noticed that just with myself. So we want to remember, and I've also said this, it's the golden rule, and that is treat others the way you want to be treated, and you should expect the same in return. So with that, I think Eric has a manager's report.
Yeah, I have a brief manager's report because most of it is on the agenda, a lot of what I want to talk about. But as far as the politics thing, these next 6 to 8, 9 months, it's going to be a weird, and it's not worth losing a friend or having a grudge against a neighbor over an election. That when it's over, and that's it. So don't even get into it, argue about stuff like that. It's not worth it. Stay neutral at the pool and at that type of community type of thing. As Bob said, we went and saw the sheriff show off all of his artillery and give a very nice speech. The thing that I got out of that was very valuable is FaceTime with Deputy Javon Matthews, who you guys met when he was here to talk to the community a few months ago. And our backup deputy, Deputy Paisano, who should have a pizzeria, but he's our deputy instead. He's a nice guy. And getting to see them and network with them, get some FaceTime. Deputy Matthews, he'll always tell me how he's got 147 communities, I think it is. And my thing is, well, we want to be your favorite one, your number one. So that's what we try. Other things that we got, like at the sheriff's office, he had a little trade show in front, and one of the bankers that I know from some other networking events was able to let me know about a new CD that his bank had just started, and it's 5.3% for 7 months. It's an excellent one, and we wouldn't have known about it had we not do the networking that we do and not whisper that in my ear as we were going. So we were able to invest 100,000 for 7 months at that rate, which is very good. And it also gets us in with this bank, which is Wintrust Bank, which the Cubs stands there on the top of Wrigley Field, the scoreboard. But if we ever did need to borrow money for any reason, which we don't anticipate, they are one of the big lenders to community associations. So being involved with them is very good.
Did you say we did invest?
We
100?
did, yeah,
Okay.
100,000 of liquid funds. It wasn't earning anything, and now we're getting 9.3.
It's less than 1%.
Yeah, there was another less than 1%, so we paid the penalty and we did that one at 5% also. Yeah. That's what Fifth Third Bank. And most of that you'll see on the front page of your balance sheet. This is the end of year one that you have there. So that's going to show you a year end. This is stuff we did in January and February. So we're trying to finish to close out the year there. As far as the units, on that front page, you can see also at the bottom where the 2 units are. One is unit 101A1, the other one is unit 321A, and that will show you how much we have invested. The one is 127,000 in the condo, and we have 102,000 plus the 30 to 50,000 that the man owed us in the other condo. So it's about 150,000 in the villa, and 127,000 in the condo. We've been getting a quick start to the new year. Like Bob said, we went to the board member certification. Andy and Michelle are now certified Florida board members. I hope they enjoyed the seminar. I think they did. I got to talk to Michelle afterwards. Did you enjoy it, Andy? Yeah. Good. Couple rule reminders. I'm being told that people are putting their personal items and knickknacks and things like that out in front of the house again, or in front of outside the common area. Please bring that stuff in. We don't want to have to do violations. One of the things that's important is uniformity and making everything look right. And beauty's in the eye of the beholder, even though you may like those items, somebody else may not. So please just follow the rules regarding that and bring that stuff in. All vehicles that are parked in the community have to be operable, running vehicles. That means current tags, air in the tires, bumpers, headlights, taillights, the whole thing. So if you have a vehicle parked on site that is not operable, it could be as simple as not renewing your tag. It's going to be tagged and it's probably going to be towed if you don't do something about it. So this is a final warning to all of those vehicles that are not operable at this time in the community. I also want to thank the volunteers that did a lot of hard work. We filled my truck with plants and soil and mulch 3-4 times. One of them was real heavy. I thought it was worried we were going to pop the tires, but we didn't. And they got it all out there. They did really good. We wanted to do some additional mulching. I went and picked up a couple dozen more bags this morning and met and Bruce put them out. I think we need about 20 or 30 more on the one side, and then we can start to work on the other side. The units for sale, we have them posted on Zillow, and then that will replicate into other websites. Most of the contact I've been getting, I've had a few customers, but a lot of the contact is from realtors. What I'm finding is realtors, they scour that Zillow for sale by owner listings, and then they call people all day and try to get them to list. So we've told them that we would give them a buyer's agent fee if they do that. And depending on interest level, and if we sell it over the course of the next couple of weeks, we may do like a flat fee MLS type listing, so that way we can get it on the multiple listing service. But we've had strong interest for very little advertising, and I think if we could save that commission, it's worth waiting a little bit longer. So and one of the upcoming things that we're going to be talking about, and you'll be hearing us more talking about, is the structural integrity reserve study and the milestone inspection. This was the law that was passed after the Surfside building collapsed. We have 7 buildings that are 3 stories, and it's buildings 3 stories or higher that are required to do this reserve study. So this will be something that will probably take place over the next few months and into the summer. And it's going to impact the budget next year. We don't know how or where or why yet, but we'll find out. Hopefully our buildings are in pretty good shape, and we'll do it's a visual inspection. We'll do a pre-inspection and try to make sure anything that we see is corrected before the official engineer comes out and inspects. The rest of what I've got listed here is on the agenda, but I do want to remind everybody or announce to everybody that hasn't been a part of it yet, but every Wednesday, with the exception of the third Wednesday when we do the board meeting, from 3 to 4 o'clock, I've been having a town hall roundtable with the manager, where you can come in and you can ask about anything you want, and I'm able to talk to you guys in a lot more detail and show you more things, and we don't have to follow Robert's Rules of Order and the rigid format of this meeting. And it's been very successful. We've had 6, 7, 8 people at every single one, a lot of good questions. Lana has been taking notes and posting them online, which is very helpful, I think, for everybody, including me. And I think it's been productive. I think it's very good. And I would encourage those of you who ever have a question that you wanted to ask and didn't want to come up to the microphone and ask in front of everybody, or just need an answer to something, or wondering, want to listen in, come on down, because someone else might even ask the question that you have. And I think it's helped with communication a lot. So I hope that it continues, and I hope people take advantage of that. So Wednesdays, the exception board meeting night, from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock every Wednesday.
Thank you, Eric. We have some committee reports, and first and up front, we're going to have a social committee presentation.
Okay, so I'm the default officer that's here tonight. So our February activities have all been well attended. We have one more activity for February, which is this Saturday night from 6:30 to 9:30. We have our midwinter dance party. It is $5, and it's 2 pieces from our New Year's Eve band are coming back. It's Sherry and Jay, so it should be a good time. It's the normal, bring your own snacks, BYOB. Tomorrow from 1 to 3 is Lynn Spetz's memorial in the clubhouse. And that will be taken care of by the social club. Coming up in March 2nd is tentatively the Jimmy Buffett party at 5 p.m. March 3rd, we have karaoke on Sunday at 6:30. On March 6th is the social club meeting at 6:30 with the election of officers. March 9th is going to be Pine Ridge Day. It's going to be $10 a person as it was last year. It's going to be either pulled pork or pulled chicken sandwich. You need to specify on your check pulled pork or pulled chicken, or I will default it to pulled pork, and I don't want to do that if you want chicken. We are getting our pulled pork and our pulled chicken from Jones's Barbecue up here on the side, and all of the rest of it will be made in-house by the social club. St. Patrick's Day, there's a dance, and we're having the 4-piece band from New Year's Eve, so that will be $10 a person, and that is starting at 6 p.m. That's starting a little later this year, so it'll be from 6 to 9. That will be an outside event, so there's no limit on people. The 23rd of March is Motown Disco Night, and it's starting at 6 p.m., we believe, and I believe that's in the clubhouse. The 24th of March is our new event that's become quite popular. It's the Trivia Night, and that starts at 6:30 in the clubhouse. On March 30th is our annual pool party. I believe that starts at 1 o'clock, so if you have been to the pool party in the past, you know it's a good time. Please come and join us. And on March 31st is our annual Easter potluck dinner at 12:30, where the social club provides the meat and the rolls, and you all provide the sides. So there will be March signs will be coming out. Right now, there's only signs through March 9th, so just keep looking at the board or on your mailboxes. Some people don't even realize that it's at the mailboxes. I don't know how you can't. But people have said in the past, what do you mean you post at the mailbox? Yeah, all our flyers go from the office, shrink down, they go to the mailbox. And there are people that still say, you don't put them in the mailboxes. Okay, yes we do. Go to your mailbox and look for the flyers. Oh.
Thank you, Joanne. I was expecting you to go on and on and on.
No, I don't need to go on and on.
So typically tonight we assign the different committees to the board members. We aren't going to really make any changes this year. We have John Mall as safety and lighting, Michelle Camp, social club liaison, which is new for her. Amenities will be myself. Architectural review, that's myself and Tom Torino. If anything comes up, planning committee, Bob Geiser. Landscaping, Bob Geiser. Lake, Bill England. Budget, Bill England. Rules and regulations, Tom has stepped up to the plate, and he is gonna take the handle on the rules and regulations for the community. So with having said that, we'll go to the individual reports. And first up, we have Bill with the treasurer's report.
I thought you was gonna leave me out of the fire.
You know, it'd be hard to do.
Oh, thank you.
There were so many people here the last couple meetings, but, you know, a lot of about you then, Bill.
Yeah. All right, first of all, I want to start by thanking my fellow board members for re-electing me to the position of treasurer. I've enjoyed serving the community. I have learned a heck of a lot and look forward to working hard this year to continue to maintain a stable, healthy treasury for the community. To report that the treasury remains stable at this time is an honor for me to do that. And it's been trying, but we're still working at it. If you have spent time reviewing the budget for 2024, you'll notice that the dues have increased. This is as we have been discussing due to the massive insurance increase in our property insurance. This will continue to be a challenge. However, we hope, and I emphasize hope, that this will not be as much as an issue as it has been this past year. However, that still remains a concern. Looking forward at this year, we have the newly required structural integrity reserve study, as Eric has already mentioned, which must be completed by the end of the year. And that is a mandate by the state that we have no control over. It has to be done. Cable, TV, internet contract discussions, which must be made, re-roofing that needs to be completed. And of course, we're still working to settle the damage claim from Hurricane Ian back in 2022. This is only a few of the many things we've been working on this year. We currently have about 6 unit owners in arrears on their payments. Eric is working with our attorney and our collection process to resolve this delinquencies. I don't think it's right that the rest of us has to pick up the bill for the rest of the people that are not paying. So just saying that and moving forward. We have a draft of the year-end balance sheets and income statements available. When you come in, you can pick those up for your review. We expect to have this completed. The completed year-end financial statement ready, hopefully by the next meeting. What you have now is a draft of what they have. And one other thing I just wanted to mention when Bob was talking about showing the units and so forth. One thing I suggest is when you're showing those people around, show them our financials too.
Yes, I definitely mentioned that to them and how we have not had a special assessment because that's one of the questions that they threw out there first.
Because when we were looking at places, we started in Tampa and worked down this way as we got here. Probably 90% of those people were in the red. And I can talk to you and everything's hunky-dory. Yeah? But I'm really proud of the job that the board does and what Eric does especially, because he goes above and beyond trying to help this community stay within our budget and to make as much money. And I don't mean that in a bad way. The more that we can conserve is the less our dues have to be. And a lot of that is his responsibility. And he takes that with great pride, I think. And just watching him talk to some of these vendors, it's amazing. I don't know how he does it, but he sweet talks them, you know. And I won't say what I was thinking, but he's got a knack, and we really appreciate that. And I do, especially because he's taught me so much just in this short period of time. And I thank him every day for it. And I try to help him what I can, but I think we ought to give him a big hand because he's the one that's doing most of this.
I'm done fine.
Thanks, Bill. John, let's hear about safety and lighting.
Hey, you all right, Ed? Okay, thanks. So we had a safety and lighting meeting out here at the gazebo. Had 9 residents showed up, and I had 3 board members show up. We discussed new light poles, and we'd like to get if we get a chance to get them ordered yearly. I'm not looking to do it all at once, but on a yearly rotation. My members were telling me that we need a light pole at Lakeside and Sailview with 3 lights on it. We also need another set of lights down at the dead end on Sailview. Again, that'll be 3 lights. 2 that face the 2 fences that meet down there, and then 1 on our parking lot. I was notified that we have, well, I've observed that we have a light out at Bonnie's. And we have 1 out on the corner of Villa and Blackberry. And tonight, Andy told me that there's 1 out facing the car wash. We discussed putting poles on the back side of the lake. We're hoping to get 3. Hoping that we get some from the budget. And we'd like to get 3 cameras on each, 3 lights on each to light it up back there, and to have cameras on top of each one of those. Windsor Club, we have a blind curve there. And it's my fault, but I was more worried after listening to the gentleman tell us about it. We put a white dividing line down there, just so that people will not hit somebody coming the other way. We discussed putting a line entering the compound so we don't have the drag racers, that come through the gate at the same time, like the Kentucky Derby. So we want to try to do something out there. Our next safety meeting is going to be Saturday, March 16th at 11:30 in the gazebo. Now's the time I'm going to just, I always tell it like it is. We've had home burglaries down here in Lehigh. So please lock your doors to your house, your lanai, your windows, your vehicles. Don't leave your keys in your vehicles. And don't forget your keys in the front door when you're going in. While you're walking, please be observant. If you walk at night, wear some reflective clothing and carry a flashlight and pepper spray. Pepper spray will help you in case there's a wild animal. It will help you in case you meet somebody that you didn't expect to meet. And speeders, don't approach them. If you get the plate, please call the office. And please, everybody, just look out for your neighbors too. If they're not there and you hear somebody in their unit, call the office or dial 911. It's that serious. The economy's terrible. They're coming to take as much stuff as they can get if we leave it open. So please, keep everything locked. Thank you.
We have a safe community. There haven't been any
March 16th.
crimes in the community here, but most crimes are crimes of opportunity. So preventing those opportunities from being there are the best way to prevent crimes. That's lock your doors, lock your cars, all that stuff. It's so important. And we have a lot of people that I know that leave their car doors unlocked or their front doors unlocked, especially if you're not there. Even if you are there, if you're in the house, you want to lock your door and find out who it is coming in, because you really don't know. And desperate times, people do desperate things, and don't leave that opportunity there for them to.
So are you making a motion then to put these, at least get these lights that you're talking about on Sailview and Lakeside, these 3?
That'll be down the road.
Good.
That'll be done. Listen.
We need to get some pricing together.
We get prices, we get RFPs and go from there.
The Windsor Club one we already picked. Sitting right here at the table.
And I maybe you already mentioned it, John, but that fiberglass light pole over by the condo that has the deterioration at the bottom, that's one of them, right?
Yes.
Good. I trust John being our safety guy. And the reason I say that is we both walk into the sheriff's presentation. There's sheriffs everywhere. There's this sheriff at the door, a little bit bigger than Tom here. All got the guns, everything, man. He was a sheriff. Looks at me, looks at John,
law enforcement, right? Don't mean to embarrass you, John. Probably not. Bob, what's happening with our landscaping?
A lot. I don't know if people have noticed on their way in, but last Saturday we had 9 people volunteering out there. We've installed now 65 shrubs at the entrance, which you wouldn't think that many, but they're put in that many. We had 9 people out there doing all this work. We've also put in, the volunteers have put in 168 flowers in the flower garden out there in the center aisle. We've had someone painting the yellow safety posts at the speed bumps. That was one I didn't notice till I saw him actually painting them, so that's something you wouldn't notice. The rocks out by the guardhouse, those have been renewed. We put about 2 yards of rock out there, spread it around. You'll notice that we've started putting in the new mulch. If you look behind this side of the guardhouse and around the fountain and a few choice areas out there, we have the new Flora mulch, the Melaleuca mulch, natural mulch. It's looking good. Like Bob said, we had 3 volunteers plus Michelle in the butterfly garden Tuesday. The other ones were Evelyn, Nick, and Charlie. They were out there for a couple hours, sweating, making it look a lot better. At the same time, we had a couple other people out front planting plants on Tuesday morning. So that was Noel and Lori. So we've had over 100 hours of volunteer work put into the landscape since the beginning of the year. So thank everyone for doing that, and hopefully we can keep it up. We're going to have another meeting coming up shortly. Some of the things we're planning on doing is we want to pressure wash the area out by the guard shack. There's a wall out there by the rocks. It's pretty shabby looking. A lot of these things you wouldn't notice until you actually slow down a little bit, look around, and you'll see some of these things. We've got a couple more lights to put in the median that shine up in the trees. We want to move the light out here that's where the light is where the old sign was. We have to move it across the sidewalk over to the new sign to light that up. So we're going to be taking that on as soon as time is available. We have a opportunity that Eric just showed us today, that our landscaper is advertising that he is selling some shrubs for $15 a piece installed, which is a very good price.
Normally be about $24 each.
Yeah, so we're going to be looking at where we can take advantage of that opportunity and have him put them in someplace, but it's a good deal for us. Another thing that we have, I've created a interim web page for the landscape committee just for our activities. We hope down the line to get that incorporated into our neighborhood web page. But for now, I'm keeping it under my control so that we can make changes quickly as needed. So if anybody's interested in that, it's the web page is landscape.bgeisler.com. You'll find there all the things that we've been working on, schedules, projects, the approved planning lists, and all those things are on that website now. That's about all there is to do with the landscape committee.
Thank you, Bob.
Bob,
Bill?
I have a question. On those plants that the landscape guy has for sale.
Yep.
If we buy enough of them, can we put some, do they all have to be put in one location?
I'm hoping
Or can the
they can
residents-
be scattered around because we have it's 100 plant minimum. So that's a lot of plants. So that we would have to scatter them.
Okay.
Yeah, so, we want to take a look at, we have about a week to take advantage of this. So we've got to be quick going out and making a map or something.
What would
We
be
want
nice, what would be nice is like if this land deal was fully settled, it would be a perfect hedgerow to plant in front of where the fence is gonna go, check that out.
Yeah,
But,
that line has not been defined yet.
exactly, so there's an opportunity probably to save some money, we'll see.
Yeah, we were talking about it this afternoon, so we'll come up with a plan.
Thank you.
Bill, your lake's cold.
You're not supposed to be in the lake.
That's what I keep telling myself, you know?
I just went, week and a half ago, I guess it was, Monday, to pick up the report on the lake. Overall, the lake is continuing to improve, which is really hard for it to do because all of our numbers are below the minimums that it should be, so. And I've talked to our resident fisher, which he's not here tonight, Carl, to keep a fishing report, and the fish are starting to bite again, but they're slow on account of the barometric pressure is fluctuating and the way the fronts move in and out the cold. They don't bite too good, so it'll improve, and probably maybe within the next month or so, maybe look at getting some additional fish in there. This coming month in March, the second Monday of the month, they have a meeting out at the mosquito control. I don't know if you all know where that is.
It's with the lab where they do all the analysis of our lake water and give us this data. Next month, I'm not gonna be able to go. Kathy's having some work done on her throwing arm. She threw it out of place, throwing stuff at me, but they're gonna have a lunch that day, and it starts at 11 o'clock. If you want to get with Eric, I'm hoping he'll go in my place and pick up the sample and take out there. I'll give him that. If you want to take somebody with you, you And
can.
just thinking maybe I'd take President Tolles if he's available.
They have a really
We'll
good
see.
lunch, so, and it's free, so if you want to go there, you know. That's all I have. Like I said, the lake's in good shape. If anybody's got any concerns about the lake, just let me know, and we'll try to get them addressed.
Thanks, Bill. Tom, early rules report?
Well, two
Follow
things. We're gonna have a Rules and Regs Committee meeting sometime in the next 3 weeks. I'll announce that date and time, and everyone is welcome. We're gonna review the entire Rules and Regs package, and any suggestions or changes that anyone may have, I'd welcome the input on that, and maybe there are no changes or improvements. But we're gonna review it all and see where we need to go this year. So that announcement will come in the next several days. Thank you.
So yes, that's one of your ways as innocent residential bystander to communicate and get information to the board about whatever lake landscaping, attend these meetings. And whatever results from committee meetings gets reported back to the board to decide if any action is necessary, we'll say.
Tom, thanks for taking that committee on, by the way. That's a Can be one of the tougher ones at times, so.
Yeah.
I'll let you know.
And some of these situations, and Bill was pretty graceful about getting set up to be hit by the bus situation. I feel like that can be the case sometimes. And finally, amenities, which I'll talk about briefly. So how many pickleball players are with us in-house tonight? They really have the wants going here. Didn't see any hands go up yet. 4. I looked down for a second. How many tennis players do we have here? Kind of expected that much. I know there's not a whole lot of tennis players here, especially if you compare them to pickleball. And I can't remember if it was 6 weeks or so ago, probably. I went over to the pickleball court, and, like always, there's 12 to 15 out there playing, and we had a little discussion, and I had a brief tour of the tennis court and what they were doing. And what I asked for was some sort of plan that we could maybe make that area more playable for pickleball, yet keeping the tennis, because tennis is, we'll say, a registered amenity of this place, and pickleball at this point isn't. So how can we change that court area, maybe repaint it and have both sets of lines on there, without causing some visual problem and not being able to use the court. And we got a very nice presentation, by the way. But it was a little, it was more geared towards a dozer situation and a complete makeover. We aren't gonna resurface that area at this point. If there's some really bad spots, I don't know how the patching of that works. I know how patching works on asphalt. It's not gonna be laser smooth. There's a dip in it now. Fixing that was probably just move the dips around. We have dips in the bocce ball areas that you have to play. I imagine shuffleboards the same way, and I don't even want to tell you how level the bags court is. So I'm going to have to get with the pickleball guys. We're going to have to discuss this a little bit better and see if there's something we can do. I'm talking about more courts, get another net or something. I think they had this drawn out here where you had 4 courts going. So somebody that wants to take charge of that pickleball, let's get together and discuss it outside of this meeting.
I thought Ed Perez was the person that was kind of the
He
head spearheading that.
yeah, he did. I believe he did all of this document and stuff. So I'm sure that we could do something to benefit both groups, and that's the goal there. So with that, I think we're going to move into old business. Old business, we were discussing workshop meetings as a full board outside of scheduled board director meetings. It has been suggested by some board members that the Sunshine Law does not apply to this condo board. We have thoroughly researched this topic, and the resulting opinion is that we cannot legally have meetings that are not properly noted within agenda meetings and must follow Robert's Rule of Order. A detailed explanation was provided and the paperwork you received when you came into the clubhouse. Eric, could you please read over that document?
It's a little bit of a lengthy document, guys, so bear with me here. Florida's Sunshine in the Government Act, which is referred to as the Sunshine Laws, requires transparency and disclosure in government and business. These sunshine laws do not apply to condominiums, these direct sunshine laws. However, the Florida Condominium Act, which is Chapter 718 of the Florida statutes, contains its own set of sunshine requirements for communities such as ours, with transparency being the key to compliance. The reason for the sunshine law is issues generally arise in a condominium association when there is or appears to be a lack of transparency between the board of directors and the association members. First, boards need to determine which gatherings must be open to the association members. While boards may desire to avoid certain topics in open meetings, the Florida Condominium Act requires board meetings to be open to members. In fact, members have a legal right to attend such meetings. Members meaning owners of the community. A meeting of the board occurs when a quorum of the board members is present. There are two statutory exceptions to the requirement that the board meetings must be open to the members. Meetings with the association's attorney to discuss proposed or pending litigation, if the meeting is held for the purpose of seeking or rendering legal advice, or two, when personnel matters are under discussion. Personnel matters should be limited to discussions of specific issues pertaining to association employees. So can individual board members meet or call one another to discuss association business as long as the meeting or phone call comprises less than a quorum of the board? Yes. However, remote or Zoom meetings that include a quorum of the board, which would be 4 in our case, still constitute official meetings that must be open to the members, noticed properly, and also minutes have to be taken at those meetings. Notwithstanding the foregoing, the Condominium Act that provides that members of the board may use email as a means of communication, but may not cast a vote on association matter officially via email. The second important sunshine law is noticing of the meetings. The requirement that the meetings be open to members is of little benefit if owners do not know when or where the meetings are taking place. Under the Act, notice of all board meetings must be posted conspicuously on the condominium property for at least 48 hours before the meeting.
So I have a question there. So if we were to have a board wide agenda meeting, as long as we followed all of those rules, we notified everybody, we posted it, everyone is welcome to those meetings.
What did you call it?
Pardon me?
Well, if you have what type of meeting?
A board meeting to discuss the agenda.
Well, the board meeting, it would have to have an agenda, that meeting. So I guess the agenda item would be new business, discuss the agenda.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
So to finish that one off, however,
Oh, I'm
certain
sorry.
meetings, such as meetings where non-emergency special assessments or amendments to rules regarding unit use are considered, requires notices to be mailed, delivered, or electronically transmitted to the unit owners and posted conspicuously on the condominium property not less than 14 days prior to the meeting. The notices also need to clearly identify the agenda items that will be discussed at the meeting. That's why when we change a rule, a lot of times we'll do it in conjunction when we're mailing out to the whole community, because that has to be sent out 14 days in advance of rules meeting. The Act, when they say the Act, the Condominium Act, also provides owners certain rights at board meetings. Owners have a right to speak at all open board meetings on all designated agenda items. The right to speak does not mean that every unit owner is entitled to endlessly debate motions, but it does mean that the unit owners are entitled to be heard regarding matters that the board intends to consider at the meeting, which is the purpose of posting the agenda ahead of time and letting you know what is going to be discussed. The association may adopt written reasonable rules governing the frequency, duration, and manner of owner statements. Owners may also record or videotape such meetings, which we do that anyway. What about committees? The Sunshine Law also applies to committees that are empowered to take final action on behalf of the board, or committees that make recommendations to the board regarding the association budget. So when Bill has his budget meetings, those are noticed properly, and then the other committees that we have are not authorized to take any final action. Only the board is authorized to do that. Under the Act, all committees are subject to the sunshine requirements unless the association bylaws specifically exempt committees from the sunshine laws. Any meeting when the quorum of a board where a quorum of the board will be present and discussing association business must be a duly noticed board meeting that follows these requirements. So Tom, the answer to your question is, as long as it's a duly noticed board meeting, yes. We have one every single day, as long as you notice it 2 days before.
Okay, I have some further comment on that. And just to enlighten the members in attendance, currently, and since I've been a member of this board and for as long as I know, in order to develop this meeting, determine what the agenda is, what we're going to talk about, generally the Friday before the meeting, like this last Friday, we have individual groups of the board members meet in what we call agenda meetings. The purpose is to determine the agenda for the board meeting. Now, due to the sunshine law, no more than 3 of us can meet at any given point in time. And the reason for that is if 4 of us met, we could vote on something that no one is aware of. So that state law is in place to protect the members or the owners. So Friday afternoon, because Bob as president needs to be at all 3 of those meetings, we'll have a meeting that includes Bob and 2 other board members and Eric. And then an hour later, we have another meeting that includes Bob and Eric and 2 other board members. And then the 3rd hour is Bob and Eric and the final 2 board members. So there's 6 board members. So we go 2, 2, 2, Bob being the 3rd board member at each of these meetings. It takes 4 hours. My experience has been that if I'm in the first meeting, I generally don't find out what was discussed in the second or third meeting. It's cumbersome. It takes 4 hours once a month on a Friday afternoon. It just appears to me that it would be easier, and many, many, many other communities do the following. We have one agenda meeting about a week or so before this board meeting with all 7 of us in attendance, plus Eric, with the only purpose to discuss what the agenda is going to be for the monthly board meeting. In essence, it would be another board meeting because we're all present. We would have to notify, do just what we do for this meeting. There'd be 48 hours notice. Everyone is welcome to attend. The one thing we probably wouldn't do is have an open forum at the beginning of the meeting. That's not necessary. But at the end of the meeting, any resident is entitled or allowed to come up, and if there's a 4-minute limit on what you can discuss or address any issue that was on that agenda that we discussed at that meeting. Now, some on the board feel this would be cumbersome. I see it as a time saver. We could do everything in 1 hour instead of 4. All of the board members would be aware of what the current issues are, what's under discussion, and we'd all be on the same page. Now it seems to me I'm going around and talking to other board members to say, well, what did you guys talk about? What about this subject, that subject? The folks who work so hard to work on a specific project, sometimes that's not communicated to everybody. So that is my proposal, that we do that. It would be an open meeting, time to be determined. All members could attend, just knowing it's going to be a working meeting. We're not going to be addressing the crowd. We're going to sit around one round table and we're going to discuss what's been going on to determine what the agenda is for this monthly board meeting. Okay, at this time I'd like to make a motion to starting next month, the month of March, to begin doing an all-inclusive board meeting for the sole purpose of determining what the agenda will be for the second board meeting of the month. There'll be no votes made, only discussion of agenda items. It will be noticed, follow the sunshine laws very specifically so that it's totally legitimate.
What's the purpose?
I just explained what the purpose was. The same thing we do on
But
Fridays.
if it's the,
Why wouldn't you just vote? Have the discussion like we're having right now, and eliminate the Fridays and do it on Wednesdays if you're always.
Because the purpose of that meeting, of our Friday meetings, is to determine what the agenda is for this meeting. You want to start this meeting an hour early, and then at that time, we can determine the agenda, we can do that.
The agenda has to.
You can't do that.
The agenda has to be posted, so we need to do it previously. But I'm
Excuse me,
saying,
gentlemen, there's supposed to be a second on that motion before we start discussing.
Yeah.
I believe.
I second the motion.
okay, so we've got a second now, discussion.
continue this discussion. We had a second, any discussion?
I've had experience with these meetings
Can't hear you.
I've had experience with these meetings that I've been on other condo boards, and that's the way we always did it. The owners then could have a chance to talk about what their concerns are. The meeting wouldn't have to be as long because there would be no committee reports, no treasurer's reports. It's just a meeting to discuss the agenda. And I agree that depending upon which two you are at the meeting, if you're in the first meeting, you don't know what the third people are and have done. And if you're in the third meeting, the people in the first meeting don't know what you've talked about. So it can be not very transparent even to the board members.
I feel that's very offensive that this board is very open. I communicate with each and every one of you. The last meeting, Tom, I went right down that long list that you had of violations for the community. I don't know that we want to drag this community through that sort of situation. I don't know when we would do it. Are we gonna do this in the morning? Andy and Michelle, gonna take a day off? Are we gonna sacrifice another evening? We're doing this for what's known as free. The pre-meetings have varied depending on the board over the years. Anywhere from no pre-meeting, president controlled everything, came up with the agenda, they had a board meeting. Everybody on the board in that situation was probably not as involved as they could have been being board members. It could be done by email communication, like a lot of corporations would do. There's a lot of ways we could do a pre-meeting to set the agenda.
Bob, I apologize if I've offended you with this. Part of the reason is to save you the time. I mean, you're the one who spends 4 hours at these meetings. I spend an hour. And the reason for it is to be more efficient. If I had to sit and discuss a topic such as this that we're discussing right now via email, I'm a two-finger guy. This could take a lot of time and you miss a lot. I just think it's best for communication purposes to sit down and let's talk about everything. And if there's some items that are personnel wise or involve individuals in the community, then per the outline of what Eric just wrote, we could have another meeting to discuss those. But I just feel it would be so much more efficient. I'm willing to try it for a couple months and see if it doesn't save us all time and save you a lot of time and having to explain everything to everyone.
I'm willing to avoid that altogether and do it by email.
I'd like to make a comment. Number one, I think that at those little meetings that we have on Friday, the 2, 2, and 2, maybe we can do a better job of really just sticking with the agenda and listing them and putting the agenda items down as versus doing a lot of the chit chatting. That's what this is what the board is for. The discussion is for this now, is what I feel like. That way there's complete transparency. We're not hiding anything from anybody. We're not trying to. The discussion that takes place on these agenda items should be happening at the board meeting where everybody does hear that. So I personally feel like maybe we can do a better job of just pulling that, the list of the agenda items together, do that better if we need to at the Friday meetings, where if Eric and Bob are still willing to be the ones to sit in on all of them, or then do it by email if that's what you want to do. The other thing is, when you mentioned to me that you would be willing to do the minutes, I'm the secretary and I feel like that is what I'm supposed to be doing, and to do minutes, number one, have to be there, and then do minutes twice. Are the minutes going to coincide with everything that takes place here? So I am a little bit concerned, knowing now, having been to that meeting that I went to and kind of talking with the attorneys, knowing what some of the requirements would be, because it isn't going to be just like a workshop meeting where you just, you take some notes and that's it. You have to have minutes that are actually provided and turned back in. They're formal minutes.
And you're right, Michelle, there is a lot of chit chat, nonsense talk at our 45-minute meeting. We don't just jump into the agenda. We talk about the sun and the moon and whatever else is on the three of our minds. If it was done by email, everything would be in the email, everybody would have the same communication, everybody would have the same notes.
Michelle, to answer your question, I only volunteered to take the minutes for you so that you wouldn't have to be burdened with that. I know you work full time, you've got a lot of stuff going on, and I'm fine taking minutes. What I would do is record the session and then write up the minutes afterwards, which can be done at this meeting also, to relieve that. And the minutes should coincide to the specific meeting. The two meetings are going to be different. The minutes from this meeting aren't going to match that meeting. They're going to relay what actually went on in each specific meeting. So I don't see that as an issue. And I don't see any legality. Let me ask the question. Is this meeting we're having right now legal under the sunshine laws of the state of Florida?
That's the only reason I'm here. If it was illegal, I would not be here.
Right.
I'm licensed by the state of Florida. I've been a
Right.
licensed community association manager in this state since 2012 or 2011. Every single association lawyer, which is dozens, I've asked the same question to. The answer is no, you can't do it every single time. So
We can't do another board
you
meeting.
can't do like a board workshop type of thing. Like if you want to have
What
a
if it's-
workshop where there's just three of you guys, same thing like the board of commissioners do downtown. Like they'll have office hours or workshop time after, but it's just two of them, and the other three go somewhere else. And then you try to persuade them in that way. And but as far as, I mean, we were with several attorneys just last week and asked them directly, can we do this? And the answer is no. Now, if you do it as a duly notice meeting,
That's
sure,
what I'm saying.
sure, you could do it, but
That's what I'm
there's
saying.
a lot of
Either these attorneys
there's a
don't know
lot-
what they're
well,
talking
no, there's a
about.
lot of redundancy there, because to say we're not gonna vote, but to obviously come to a consensus in front of everybody 3 days before, it's still voting. That would be my.
But if it's a legal board meeting, what's the difference?
When I asked,
If this meeting is
I'm not gonna
legal-
operate in a gray area when my livelihood is this license.
But Eric, it's not a gray area.
when I
You
asked,
would be charged with properly
excuse me,
noticing
Tom,
the meeting.
excuse me,
I was speaking
I
first.
know that, excuse me.
Go ahead.
When I posed that question to the attorney, I'm not an attorney. She looked at me like I was crazy and said, why would you want to do something like that? I said, I don't know.
And the Department of
And I
Business and
still
Professional
don't know.
Regulation, you met the man.
Obviously, this attorney doesn't know what she's talking about or have any common sense.
Well, no, it's-
Because as I heard from the audience,
it's the Department-
why would you not? This is a meeting.
Let's have, let the audience
Anyway.
is getting restless, let's have.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second, so let's vote on
Do I have a third?
No,
it. We don't need it.
all in favor.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Aye. Motion fails.
Were there board members that abstained? I didn't hear all of them. 7.
You wanna do one by one?
Could we,
Do it by one,
could we
one by one.
poll, could we poll the board, please?
We'll start with Bob.
Aye.
Andy. Bob, Bill.
I'm torn.
Yeah, I know speed of that, but I can see both sides of it, but it's, after listening to the discussion, it's hard for me to do that, and I apologize, Tom, I can't vote for it.
Two or three,
Today,
I'm
I'm
sure
sorry.
two.
No,
No,
Aye.
no, sorry.
Nay.
2-5, motion fails. All right, like I said, we've been pretty busy around here. Bill and I have met with some vendors along with Eric, talking about our fence replacement and our needs out there. So we're putting together
Around the pool.
So since the hurricane, our fence around the pool has been damaged. I'm not gonna get into this too much because everybody here knows it. We've started to get bid on this project with 5 to 6 contractors. We want to also update the access control system that we use for the pool gates. So basically, we're talking about a complete new fence all the way around the pool with new security mechanisms on there. The cost for this fence and the access control updated system is not expected to exceed $25,000. The fence permitting process can take up to 8 weeks. For that reason, I asked for a motion to approve up to $25,000 to replace the fence and update that association access control. This fence will be 4 feet along the pole. It's a 2-rail black aluminum fence. It'll be 5 feet around the remaining portion of the pole. That's 5 feet with 3 rails. And we chose black because, for one thing, when you look out at the pole, it doesn't obstruct and play with your vision as much as a white fence. And over time, we feel the black fence will look better than a white fence, for example. Once the bids have been compiled, then we delegate the selection of the contractor to our manager. Our current vendor, New IQ, will be working on the access control update. I think that's up front. So we're looking at 6 to 8 week permit lead time after we select the bid. Do I have a motion to move forward with pool fence?
I make a motion.
Second.
Any discussion?
Does this include all 4 sides of the fence?
Yes, what we're getting a quote on would be replacing that entire fence. That includes the brown section across the lake with a sound barrier adjacent to the aluminum fence for the pool equipment and that pump, so we don't have to listen to the jacuzzi pump running quite as much. On the inside of the pool, what you'll see is the fence, aluminum fence going across, and just directly on the opposite side of that will be the vinyl fence noise barrier. We also asked for an additional add on that bid for the 3 sides of the enclosure around the equipment area. We feel we might as well at least price it and see if we want to replace it at this time or just do some sort of repair on it. So, any more discussion on the fence?
Get her done.
We do need to get it done. Everybody that's been out there is aware of the fence situation. The way the law most likely reads, we know you have to have that fence around there for safety. If the storm or something were to blow it down, we would either have to close the pool or get some temporary fencing up. So we need to move forward with this. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passes. We need to discuss planning committee document submitted last month. We have a revised version here. I got this one. Yeah, take that. Does everybody have a copy of this document? Everybody on the board anyways?
Yes.
Yes.
And has everybody read this document? Do you want me to read it? Planning committee. Purpose of planning, Pine Ridge Condo Association Planning Committee is to oversee and guide the long-term planning and decision-making process of the association. The committee works in with the board of directors and the association's manager to ensure the community's functions and the needs and interests of residents are taken into consideration. Bob, you came up with this document, so,
Do you want to present it?
would you like to present it in your own words?
Okay, yeah, the main responsibilities of the planning committee would be to develop and define improvements to the association and, to look at goals, costs, time and resources to enhance the quality of life for the residents. This list could cover such a things as maintenance, improvements, financial and residential services. Reviewing and recommending improvements, we would assess the current condition of the property and infrastructure and identify areas that require attention or improvements. We would have the authority to review proposals for renovations, upgrades, and repairs, and make recommendations to the board for action. We would be a liaison between the residents and the board, communicating updates, soliciting feedback, and addressing concerns or suggestions from the owners. The committee may organize community meetings or surveys to gather input on important decisions and ensure that the community's needs are heard. We would also be able to research and explore options for improving operations, reducing costs, and enhancing the overall living experience for residents. We prepared this document because if we have a committee, we need to know what the purpose of that committee is. So that's why I'm asking for submitting this for board approval so that we know what our job is going to be. Since I didn't do a report for planning committee, I'll do that right at the moment, but January 25th, we had a planning committee meeting. We've had over 21 people attend the meetings. The next meeting we want to have is February 29th at 2:00. I'll be announcing that and mailing out an agenda to the board and to the committee members tomorrow as to what we're going to discuss at that meeting. So I would make a motion that we approve this document.
I thought it was going to be more of a mission statement situation. When I suggested the planning committee, it was like planning future development of the community and what we might be able to add to the community. We do need to look at the entire community, Bob, as a whole, and look out for the maintenance and the upkeep of the committee. And all committees work with the board of directors and the manager. Developing and defining improvements committee work to develop a list of projects and outline goals. I know you've done that. And cost, time, resources, improving the community, which all sounds real good. This may cover such areas as maintenance, improvements, financial, and residential services, which, and I kind of wonder about that because, we do have a manager here.
This is not the man.
So I'm not sure if I'm understanding that part of it.
No. Yeah, no. This in no way is,
The only thing that I would read on this, if I was giving my recommendations, if you want to back yourself into a corner where you're supposed to do something and didn't do it or something like that, these mission statements is better if it's like one paragraph and kind of broad in that. Whereas here, you have specific items, like, what was the thing that you just said? Residential services.
Yeah.
So now if the committee doesn't provide that, and it's one of those things like a
it
safety,
doesn't say
like a
that the
safety
committee
check.
is going to guarantee these things.
Okay.
The committee is going to make recommendations to
That's
the
one of the
board
things
for
that's come up.
improvements to these things.
And that's what all committees do, yes?
Yes.
Can I have the floor for a second?
Yes.
So again, committees only suggest things. They have no power. In statement 2, you say that they will have the authority to review proposals for renovations, upgrades, or repairs and make recommendations. Well, there is no authority on any committee at all. So they could just make proposals. So again, it should just be a mission statement because there's no sense in trying to hold people to a certain level with all of this stuff that you have in there. I don't want to see any of our volunteers get in the middle of a shouting match or something because they see things different. So again, there is no authority for any committees. So that would be the first thing that I would ask to be removed. But maybe we can redo this and bring it back at the next meeting. They're good ideas, but again, no committee has any authority over what the board actually determines. So,
Well, if you read it, it says the authority to review and make recommendations to the board.
right, but that's why we have that young man sitting right there,
Well, then why do we have a committee at all?
because there's volunteers.
Right. So we need to know what the committee is to be doing. And this is not meant to take the place of the manager at all.
Well, that's what your mission statement is to define what this committee does. And now you've put out this other document that is saying this is what we will do after we've defined what we're supposed to do. I've got a problem with the number 3 there also, where it gets into that. It makes me feel that there's no communication between the board and the community. It's just like we don't listen to nothing no one says. Is that what you're?
That is not what it says at all.
To me,
I don't know.
All it says is that the committee will listen to the owners.
Long-term planning for trying to anticipate future problems that could come up, ideas. That's all good stuff. That's the type of stuff that I would think of planning for preventative maintenance, things that could be done.
Financials.
Those would all be good things.
Yeah.
Michelle, what's your perspective?
I love the first paragraph. That, to me, is what the mission statement is for this committee. To do exactly what you said, to just oversee the long-term things, to assist in that process of decision-making or to be a part of it. You, as the committee person from the board, are the liaison between them, the committee, and the board. And I kind of feel like in here, it makes it sound like the committee is the liaison, and they're not. So it's you. They bring, you meet with them, whatever you come up with, you're the one who brings that to the board, just the way when John was with the social club, he was the liaison from the board to that particular committee. He sat in on it. He listened to what was going on. That was where that information came back to the board, just like the landscape, any of it. But I think maybe you've defined it a little bit too much. It's a little too defined. If it is just, if this is a committee, a new committee being established, and this is what our mission is, this is why we're going to have this, and just kind of leave it at that. That's my opinion.
Well, this was developed by the committee as what they saw their purpose to be.
And they've done a good job as far as putting all that together. It's just, I think you need to first start with the mission statement. What are you gonna be doing? And like Michelle said, number one basically defines that. After that is things that you can work on, but when you start with a committee and you get into financial responsibilities and so forth like that,
It doesn't say financial responsibilities.
it didn't
It
say so.
says that we could look at such things
Yeah.
as financial.
Which they could do.
Could we possibly table this for tonight and move on to the next subject? Listen, I would never hurt anybody that volunteers, and the landscape committee and the mad painter over there. I'm not gonna say who he is. He's Vincent Van Gogh, but no disrespect towards anybody, but thank you to everybody, and if we could just table this till the next meeting, and then we can have something a little more appropriate.
Number 4, yeah, it's also good.
Well, we tabled it at the last meeting, to be held at this meeting. I'd like to call it for a vote.
Go ahead.
Can I just say that it was only initially, there was just an initial motion. There's no second yet. So can we just get a second for it first? Robert's rules.
Yes. Do we have a second?
Second.
Who said that? Andy? Okay.
Would anybody like to discuss it
I
more?
think we already did.
Yeah, kind of went around there.
I've got a couple comments. First of all, I get concerned anytime I see the word authority. My radar goes up. So that really stood out to me and made me look at everything else further. We need to be careful we don't establish something that's defined in writing forever and ever that might interfere with the manager's job and some of the other things. Also in that first paragraph, it says you would work with the board and the management to ensure that the community functions. I think the community functions really well now on a day-to-day basis. And my vision for a planning committee is, I don't know, just to grasp at random stuff. Gee, do we need to look at replacing the big 40-year-old oaks on the parkway now to start replacing them? Or, what are the long-term plans for the lake? Or how are we gonna block off the community being developed south of us? So I think this is too specific also, but I think it's great what you're doing. And I think it's awesome to have the people involved that look more towards future rather than current changes.
It doesn't say current changes, but I would agree that we could take out, have the authority to, and just say they will review proposals for renovations.
Yeah, then you need to redo it. It doesn't say that.
I know, but, yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Would you be willing to just have the first paragraph or so just be your mission statement? You guys can do the rest, but I think to have something formally in writing
Yeah.
that you're asking the board to approve, I would have no problem approving that first paragraph. I'm not saying you guys can't do the things you've discussed doing.
They may organize community meetings or surveys to gather input on important decisions. That's good, but the board should really, because usually those types of things are going to divide the community and it can become an advocate pretty quickly. You just want to think when you're not the chairman, what could happen in 5 or 10 years.
Right.
Vote. Going with the vote? Bob?
And just to clarify, the vote is to approve this document
Well-
in its present form.
No, well,
Yes.
Yes, it
that,
has to be rewritten.
Bob, go ahead and redo your proposal, and we will vote. Or motion it.
Let's see. How to do this. I think it might be better for me to withdraw right at the moment, and we'll table it till the next meeting.
Fair enough. It's a little rushed to jump in there and say you're,
Well, I was hoping to get input before this meeting, since it was sent out before this meeting, but, okay.
Okay, the last part of old business that we have is cable negotiations that we're currently, let's just say we're going through the dog and pony show with all the different vendors. They're coming in here and they let us know how wonderful they are and everything else. And Eric lets them know how wonderful we are, yes. And then they put their bids together, and then we say, no, you need to fix this and change it. We should be pretty close to getting some final versions from the vendors that we talked to. The last one that we had in here, Hotwire or something, they lost my attention when she opened her mouth, I'm sorry. They weren't prepared to do a professional presentation compared to the other companies. So this has been going on for a while. One of the main concerns is whether internet will be included in the new package if possible. Another concern is the quality of the service and what we are currently receiving from Comcast. They seem like they're juggling their numbers around and they're putting a lot of ads on for you as a customer. Although we have the service, they have some additional ads that they be charging you for. And that's the kind of thing that we need to decipher between the different companies. Many of the quality concerns are due to aging, outdated infrastructure that the legacy providers are currently using and have been using since originally installed in Pine Ridge. We're negotiating with 3 companies at the moment: Comcast Cable, which is Xfinity, Bluestream Fiber, and Hotwire. Our current agreement expires in 1 year. We need to vote on either extending with Comcast or vote for an alternative provider in the next 30 to 60 days. Comcast is obviously familiar with the property, and we all know they don't perform the way we think they should, and we've noted that to them. Bluestream and Hotwire are currently in the process of completing site surveys that will allow them to estimate both the cost, which is currently in the negotiation, and construction timeline for more accurately knowing what their schedule would be and how long it's going to take them. We will be sharing some more information about the proposals of potential vendors over the next few weeks, and this will be discussed quite a bit moving forward. We will even have some town hall style events to allow residents to speak, ask questions, comments, which the vendor will be here also. And this is a very big decision, depending on what company and choices we go with. We could be looking at having to sign maybe a 10-year contract, 7 at the lowest. So there's a lot of moving parts to this. I was kind of maybe astounded. There was one of our older residents was in the office talking to Eric about this situation, and she said, I want TV and internet. They're ripping me off. They're charging me too much. They're charging me more than my neighbor. You folks talk. They aren't charging you the same price.
No, not even close.
And that's upsetting to me that they take advantage. We're all in the same hood here, so they shouldn't be giving you all the same price.
And that's what I liked about one of the providers. Eric, myself, Bob, and Andy have been to all three of those meetings. And one of the providers is saying, now, this is what it costs you, this is what it costs everybody pays the same. And I like that. Right now, I've got one guy on one side of me is paying $50-some for internet. I'm paying $150 for the same internet. And why is that? You call them and ask them and they can't tell you. So that's the questions we're asking these people. What can you do for us? And what can you set it in concrete that we'll all have?
If you analyze the issue, Comcast has an inherent advantage and disadvantage by being the incumbent, because you know the pluses and minuses of their service. The other two companies are very similar concepts. The fiber to the home, it works very, very well. I've seen it. One of the companies is actually in the community that I live in. We're going to negotiate the best price. I would caution the board members not to fall in love with any one company, regardless of how good their presentation was, because price is ultimately what you're getting the same commodities, television shows and TV. Price is ultimately what in terms are what you're negotiating, and you can't really effectively negotiate with one unless you're willing to say no and walk away and say no deal and go with the other one. So there's a little bit of adaptability there. If you decide first and you're gonna be upset if it doesn't work out, then you can't really negotiate. But if you want to negotiate, and every single provider will give us a chance at the end to give you a best and final. So that tells you that there's a lot of room there. They don't say that normally. Yeah. So board members, keep that in mind. Community members, a negotiation doesn't really start until one of the people say, just no, we can't do it. And then say, oh, come back, let's figure it out. So that's could happen, and sometimes it's no, and you have to be ready to go to number two.
Yeah, we need to move this along. You're getting restless. You're worried about if you're going to get out of here on time to watch Gutfeld. I know it. TV show. So we have some new business. Discuss retention of public adjuster to work on Hurricane Ida damage. Yeah, I've got a big sheet here. I'm just going to summarize it. Yeah, we had a lot of damage. We got a check for $251,978 along with, I don't know, we'll just say a 500-page report to shuffle through. And after going through all of that, the report's full of mistakes. And that's, just what Eric and whoever went through that with them found so far. For example, many of the buildings and roofs have sustained most amount of the damage was not accounted for in the final report at all. So yes, Eric has reviewed this. He's spoken to the board members one at a time, most likely, to some extent. So we've talked about hiring a public adjuster that you've all heard about it. You've seen the signs around, and they really think that they missed the boat by maybe 60-70% or more.
That's good.
My career, last 20 years of my career, I was a subject matter expert on collision repair. We wrote the data that the insurance companies use across the country. So if you go into the body shop and get an estimate, that's that data. So I know how the insurance industry thinks. On the auto side, they'll write a claim on a big hit, airbags went off. They'll get 50% of the damage. Then the body shop writes an additional. Then the body shop calls the adjuster out, has to poke his nose in, and they have to touch and feel it. And then they negotiate on how much more that they'll apply to that claim. And so that's the results that we're looking for.
A lot of what they paid for was the ancillary stuff, like we talked about fences, like we could do the pool fence because that actually was included. Heritage Insurance, from what I've learned from these adjusters, a lot of them worked for the insurance companies beforehand, is they're known for pushing back on the roofs and not wanting to pay you anything for the roofs. So that's where they owe us the money, and we should be getting it.
So Eric's found an adjusting firm, and without getting into the heavy details, they basically, you sign a contract with them and they're gonna get more money. They're not only gonna get themselves money, if they get us money. We aren't given any cash to start working. They're working for free until the point that they get a claim, and then they're gonna wanna get a percentage of the money that they recover. So Eric, could you add to it briefly a little bit?
Well, it just shows you that, even more so, that we are correct, that that's something that is wrong, because the fact they work on contingency only and they want to take this on, they wouldn't be taking it on unless they were what they want.
So those of you that have come to Eric's town hall meeting, you're very aware of this situation because he's discussed it in length there. Do I have a motion to move forward with the hiring of an adjusting firm?
I make a motion.
Second.
Any discussion?
One thing I'll add is I did question whether or not we should just go straight to an attorney instead of an adjuster, or whether that would save us time, because our attorney, the association attorney, said we might have to file suit anyway. In talking to the adjusters, I made the determination it's not better to go directly to an attorney because adjusters don't talk to attorneys, only attorneys talk to attorneys. And that makes it a legal matter, and it really can make it take much longer. So I think the best stuff is to try to get the best adjuster we can, try to make the best resolution to this that we can, the quickest that we can. And anytime a lawyer is involved, they're only gonna talk to other lawyers, it becomes a legal matter, and it takes a lot longer. And it's the same thing that happens here. If somebody gets a lawyer involved, I don't talk to them anymore. They have to talk to our lawyer because that's the way it works. Fortunately or unfortunately. So I think the adjuster is the way to go. I'll just add that too.
And we have to get the lawyer.
He would probably take it on contingency also, but.
Vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimous. And, we've already knocked out the committee chair portion during the committee reports, so you're aware of that. Please get involved with the committee. Come on down to the meetings. Just sit there and listen. That's the only involvement you really need. If you want to get more involved, talk to the person in charge of that committee. Bob, in my opinion, is doing a lot of good work for this community. Our landscaping and getting an eye on it, which is a little more detailed than we've had in the past. And then, the community's old. We need to start looking at other things in this community. All of the board members have the ability to work with Eric and get bids. Any resident that's here that has a brother-in-law that's a contractor of some sort and wants to give us a smoking deal, run them down here, man. We want to talk to them. We're all about saving money.
I know someone's
We're not about,
got our microphones working better.
we're not about doing something on the cheap. Labor's one thing, materials is another. So my philosophy is spend a little extra on quality materials that are going to last a long time. Okay, we have something very important coming up in March, and that would be our social club election, which is coming up on March 6th. Eric has an outline of the rules that He's gonna present again.
So we haven't had a social club election in many years, but this year we have two groups that are running, two slates of officers and officers running against each other. So we've developed these rules and this procedure to have a nice, smooth election with no problems, and whoever wins wins. And the fact that we have an election is whoever wins is a success to me. So the social club election will be held at the March social club meeting. The beginning of the meeting, the social club will have their regular meeting. At the conclusion of that, the officers, who are the presidents, respective presidents and officers, will have the opportunity to address everyone in attendance, give some remarks, and introduce their slate of candidates. Only owners, this is the important part, only owners, no tenants, only owners present at the meeting are eligible to vote. It is one vote per household address, so it's husband or wife, pick one, can come down and vote. Owners who own more than one unit may still only vote once. So even if you own 10 units, you still only get to vote once. Residents who live in a unit owned by an immediate family member are eligible to vote in person in place of their family member. Immediate family is defined as parent, child, sibling for the purposes of this election, and we must be able to verify it. So we have some owners, more cases than not, that they're for estate planning and different things like that, where the children might own the unit, but they're the owner, been here and owned it. In that scenario, that person would go, that's got to be an immediate family. Eligible voters will be verified, signed in, and issued a ballot with an envelope, certified ballot and envelope. Then you can go ahead and vote. You'll turn them in there that night, and then we're going to do the envelope opening, just like we do at the board meeting. The only difference is people helping us open the envelopes are going to be some of the board members here. So that should be fun. Put them to work this time, The voting will take place, secret ballot, submitted in an envelope. Once only verified ballots will be accepted, and we're going to have a way of making sure that the ballots are the real ballots, so there's no cheating. Once all the votes have been collected, the voting will be officially closed. After the voting is closed, counting will commence. To confirm the accuracy of the results, the counting procedure will require 4 volunteers. Each candidate will have someone tallying their votes. Additionally, ballot counters will be on both sides, counting the total number of votes. And if everything is accurate, the sum of the votes for the 2 candidates should equal the total number of ballots counted, which should also match. The candidate for president with the most votes will become new president, and our officers will take those positions. This was authored on January 23rd and given to both groups running, and we actually did a revision on February 7th. And that's to account for those couple of outliers where you have first estate planning to fix. That was the revision. And copies, I think, were provided on the way in, and the underlined part was the revision.
You already, have you got the count of the parties, or you thinking about that?
No, we'll set the counters. We'll set the counters on that. So as treasurer, you're our number 1 counter.
Yeah.
So, can I mail in?
No.
Hey, you guys are listening.
What if someone's in Mexico on March 6th?
No, it doesn't matter.
Okay, vote.
No, yeah, gotta be here. It's gonna be a fun and exciting night for all. So let's move on to the best part, question and answer. If you would like to step up to the microphone, address the board on any subjects that we ran you over with tonight, please come on up.
I make a motion to close the meeting.
I would like to thank everybody for your patience coming down to this fun and exciting non-refreshment meeting. I also want to thank the board. These board members have a passion for what they're doing, and they really care about this community. And we're all up here because we want to benefit this community and serve the best possible. So I'm going to assume we have a full yay to adjourn this meeting. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out.
Hey, man, go. Man, go.
Jared Quick, I live in the last building, 9540, right down by the dog house, second floor. My parking spot is next to a landscaped house. And when we get out of the door, we gotta walk into the plants. Is there somebody I can contact, come and take a look at it, and you know, really, you got. I'm gonna get down here to the coffee shop tomorrow anyway. Yeah, because sometimes I see you here, sometimes I don't. Okay, yeah, I'll catch you tomorrow then. Okay, I'll let you leave it by.
Yeah.
I know. 978. All right. We know who's going to everything. I got it.
Somebody better. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Never mind, we found the guy.
The 3X.
I'll give you a call and.
Good job.
Me? Yes, I didn't do anything wrong.
You did good. Didn't do anything.